I just think that as long as the veteran's alive, we're going to do the best we can to take care of them, and they're taking care of their families as best they can, whether they're working, whatever, doing something illegal. My goal is to make sure there's a way that we can take care of their families once they leave here. This is by far the hardest part of my job because I build a relationship with everybody I meet, veterans, the family members, as best I can to try to tie us in as family, not just me as a service officer. Once I do that, I take the loss just as severe as the family member does. You know, they may have 24 hours a day, but I know they serve their country, and I honor that. And I think we all should as a veteran. So today we're going to talk about dependency and enemy compensation, which is the information I gave out, plus the death certificate, because that's a key factor of the whole scenario. And before I started looking it up, before I talked about it, I had to look up that word enemy. And I didn't know what it meant. So if you look on the back of that sheet where it talks about dependency and enemy compensation, it has the actual term enemy, what does that mean? It's an obligation by a person to provide compensation for a particular loss suffered by another person. So basically, DIC means the obligation of the government to support you as a spouse, widow, or widower for your loss. There is no win to this thing. There is no win. And what I mean by that is, you get some money for your spouse dying. They can't pay you enough for what your spouse did for this country and for what you did to put up with it. I know my wife can never get paid for what she had to dealing with me. Not just because of what I did in service, but just because of the person I am. If she loves me dearly, that's what they call that unconditional love. It's a good reason it's called unconditional love. Because if it was a condition for her, she'd be gone.
I'd probably be right with you.
Yeah, most of us men can probably contest to that their spouse would be gone if there was a condition to it, because we couldn't meet the standards that's required to provide the support we're supposed to give those spouses that we have, for as much as they do for us. So for all those family members who are stuck with veterans, thank you. What is DIC? Basically, just told you it's benefits given to the widow or widower of a veteran who died. Number one way to do it, if the veteran's on active duty and they die, whether it's combat, non-combat, on leave, whatever, if they're on active duty, they still get it. Doesn't mean that they're on National Guard or reservists. If the National Guard reservists are training or at AT and they die from something, or en route to training or coming back from training, as long as it's a direct route to or from training, they still get it. But today I'm talking about those that have a flip side of this. If you look at the first dot, like the third line down, it says veteran's death resulted from a service-related injury or disease. They'll get this benefit. If you look at that, how much does it pay? Down the bottom of the half of it, it says the basic pay rate of DIC is $12.54 and 19 cents per month. It's a tax-free benefit. No matter what the veteran is getting, service connected. If his death is due to the service, if it's the military's fault, they still get it. Bless you.
Thank you.
So what does that mean? If they're service connected for a lower back injury at 40% and they died for some reason other than that back, it's going to be hard to get benefits under this program. Very hard. If you look at the fifth and sixth line down, it says VA compensation for service connected disability that was rated as total disability for at least 10 years immediately before death. So I just said if they're service connected for a back at 40%, they won't get it because it won't be service connected. But if their total rating by the VA was service connected for 100%, and it's been going on 10 years prior to that veteran dying, it doesn't matter what the cause of death is, then their spouse the widow still gets the benefit. Except one thing, you can't kill him.
Let's clarify that.
You can't kill him. might not be charged with murder, but you can't kill him. Because if the government's not gonna pay you after you off him off, or whatever.
What if he falls in the chipper shredder by accident?
Always that verified. That just got to be verified. An example would be he's 100% for a bad knee, lost his foot because of the knee,
Yeah, he has neuropathy real bad in
and
his
he
leg.
numbness causing the fall. If we can verify that, that'd be good.
Okay.
I say that because you got issues where you
Nice
could
knowing
get
you
it.
left.
And it's one of those things, some of those things got to be verified because when you're going through this emotional crisis, going to the emergency room and dealing with this issue, it's so drastic. It's so hard to deal with. You don't think this. I wouldn't think this.
She's gonna take it with her, so she won't forget any of it.
Yeah. All I know is, if you're going through that, contact me. Let me deal with the professional stuff. And y'all just take care of your family. Call me, hey, my husband's in the hospital. What do I do? Nothing. I need to talk to the doctor. Authorize him to talk to me. I need to find out what's going on. Let me handle it. Even though I'm emotional, I know I got to make sure you're taken care of just in case something does happen. Because I want to make sure that's only, because your spouse wants you to get it. The government say you should get, but there's a lot of wording got to be done. So what does that mean? The veteran is service connected for, let's say, high blood pressure or ischemic heart disease, which is due to being in Vietnam, which is exposed to Agent Orange, so he got a bad heart. But his service connected rate is 30% or 60%. He's not getting 100, or he is getting 100, but it's been less than 10 years. All of a sudden, he has a bad car accident. And he dies. The death certificate, which you see on the other sheet, may end up saying that the cause of death, as you see down that little check mark down the bottom, the cause of death may be tragic car accident. I would suggest, if you know the service connected disability is dealing with that heart, that you get the autopsy. Because if the autopsy shows that it was a massive heart attack prior to the incident, that could be a secondary cause. As long as it's a cause, and that service connected condition with the heart, you still get the benefit. Now, I don't know about you, but I know about me. If I knew I'm about to have an accident, tragic accident, i.e. a train about to hit me, I'm quite sure that train's not going to kill me. I'm quite sure me, as fearful as I am, is going to die from shock with the idea that that train's going to kill me. My heart would explode because there's nothing I can do. It's just going to blow. Some guys may not have that thing. They might catch by such a surprise that it just does happen. It might be such an impact. For those who've been around me a little while, you know I ride motorcycles. I normally don't ride under 100 miles per hour. So when I die, I'm going to have a smile on my face. I know I'm having a good time. That's how it's going to happen. The death certificate. I've seen in this job how important this thing is. It's the most important thing other than the birth certificate you're probably going to have. Veterans have came, the spouses of widows have came to see me, and the death certificate be wrong. And what I mean by it, it's like block 9, it's like the 4th block down. It'll say marital status. Make sure that death certificate says married. Because I've had them come see me and say my husband died and the death certificate said divorce. Because his mama buried him and she didn't like her, so she put divorce. Because he had told her they were divorced. I don't know. All I know is if that death certificate said divorce, there's nothing I can do for you as a surviving spouse in regards to DIC. Because if you look at this form by DIC, it says violent marriage with the veteran before this date, and you have to be married on the date of death. Also, it says you have to be married at least 1 year or had a child by a veteran. But that death certificate, as I was saying, number one, it's got to be saying that the veteran was married, and the next little block is the third one down. It has the widow's name. Make sure that name matches your name. Because I've had them come in there, I got Stephanie sitting in front of me, every 6 said Jennifer. That means I need to be talking to Jennifer. Because Stephanie doesn't get anything. Even though she was married to him at the time of death. You got to get that changed. Sometimes you have that when you have multiple spouses. Meaning the children married daddy, and they want their mama to be considered a spouse. By the time he died, he had a new wife. or she and a new husband, whatever that case may be. So I see that quite a time. Towards the bottom of those two check marks, they have the main cause of death, which will get you service connected if it links up to what happened in your service. And then below that, it has significant contributing factors. As long as it's a contributing factor, we're still good. The VA will still pay the DIC amount, or the same amount. Now, there's some additional rules with DIC. If you look at the bottom of that page, where it talks about the amount 1254, if the veteran was 100% for 10 years, and you were married to that veteran for those within that time frame for 8 of those years at the time of death, they'll pay you an extra $266 on top of the $1254. So now you're getting $1,500. The VA normally catches them in front of him because they'll look at the date of marriage, they'll look at when he was 100%, they say, okay, he was married more than 8 years, and he's been service connected over 10 years at 100%, they're going to automatically grant that extra $266. Now, if the spouse, like, if the widow is disabled when you do the application, or they become disabled, they can add another $300 on top of that. It's not a win, because $300 is not going to pay for your disabilities, but it'll help offset some of the expenses for being disabled as a widow. What can y'all do then? Main thing is, as a spouse, you know where the veterans' records are at. That's good and dandy. I was asked as veterans, make your spouse a complete copy for herself or himself. Reason why I say that, once something happens to you, they don't want to touch your stuff. I say your stuff, but they don't want to touch your stuff. Even though you're deceased, it's still yours and it becomes personal. Give them their own. Make your own copy of his record and say, when something happens to him, this is my record. I can do what I want to with it because it's your possession. His records, even though he died, it's still his records. I see this a lot when I'm dealing with the children of the veteran. And they're like, I don't want to go and touch daddy's stuff. No, but what daddy would have gave you his copy and say, hey, this is yours. That's just a suggestion.
So even with the death certificate, the death certificate, go in to say, he's dead, I want these, are they gonna give you trouble?
I can make you copies.
Okay.
If you got the original, I can make the copies for you. If you got the original stuff and
They
you
need
want
to
me
be
to make copies,
certified copies.
And that brings into that you can actually put your DD 214 on file for free at the Tiffin County Office of Register of Deeds.
Yeah.
you can do that, but do realize that it's now 2016. Once you do that, it becomes public records. I'm not stopping anybody from doing it. Just remember it becomes public record. By it being public record, if somebody knows enough about you, they can go over and get a copy of it. And now you're dealing with identity theft. I suggest everybody do it, but just make sure you know that new technology allows people to steal your identity. I wish somebody would steal mine. They'll go to jail because I'm broke. Might get some of my bills. Wanted to cover the DIC. I wanted to cover making copies. If you're a veteran, if the veteran does not have all their records, I suggest order it. It takes 8 months to get it. If you don't have a complete copy of all your files that you ever dealt with the military, order it. They don't charge you nothing. I can get it mailed back to you. St. Louis send it back to you in about 8 months. Once you order it once, you get it free. If you lose it, then the next time they charge you like 20 cents a page or $2 a page or whatever. But the best thing to do is order it while you're alive. Because once you die, it takes a little longer, a little harder for the widow to.
Yes.
Anybody got any questions so
Talking
far?
about their military
Military
record.
records. Military records, NVA, and anything doing with it.
Yeah, but when my husband requested his, he didn't get half of his.
I need to reorder it. Gotta find out what the rest of it is. Now, how many of y'all in here are retired from the military? Okay, they have a different program available. Retirees, when they get out, they have the opportunity to pay for what they call the survival benefit plan. If they choose to take it, they don't have to do a whole lot but just sign for it. If they choose not to take it, their spouse has to sign that says, I don't want it. The veteran can't say he don't want to pay for it. She's got to say she don't want him to pay for it because I don't want it. All right? If that happens, no effect on what I talked about today with VA. But if it happens that they wanted the survival benefit plan, where they get 55% of the entitlement, it can cause an offset with the DIC. Example, in my case, my wife did not trust the fact that I was going to give her insurance. she wanted to make sure she got 55% of my retirement, which is gonna be about $900 a month, which is gonna keep her in the poorhouse. All right, and I told her that. She didn't understand $900 a month ain't no money for her. So I spent a whole lot more than that. However, if I die due to service, due to my military service, she'll get the $1254. All right, the $900 she was gonna get from DFAS, which is my retirement savings, she loses that. She'll just get the $1254. But all the money I put into it was about $120 a month. She get all that back as one big check. It's not fair, but that's just the way the process is.
So
What-
if they're about even, can you choose which one?
If they're about even, you need to choose which one because the VA check is tax free. If it's a little more on the DFAC, let's say it's $1,300 from retirement, it might be better to take this because it's tax free instead of $1,300.
So at least you get the 30 years of SVP payments back in one lump sum.
One lump sum, depends on how old she is.
But they're also trying to get a bill through where you can have both.
They've been talking about that bill for the last 10 years.
I know.
They've been talking, what I've been trying
We
to
gotta
say
keep
is,
contacting Congress to tell them to vote for it.
if you're a retiree and you're married and you're paying it for the survivor benefit plan, every year you need to write your comment with a group of you and saying, look, I'm paying for this, and basically it's just an insurance program.
It's an insurance policy. It has nothing to do with your compensation from the VA.
Right.
Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges. Exactly. So you're paying for a policy that you're not gonna get, but they did say we're gonna make it a little fairer. They're gonna give y'all the money back. Alright? I don't agree with
They only give
that.
you 7 years of it.
Yeah.
They won't give you all of it.
Well, they supposed to give you all of it back.
Yeah.
Everything you put into it. Then you also got the, if your SCP is higher than the 1254, say your retirement pay is $2,000. What happened is they'll give you a little over $700, almost $800 from DFAS, which is taxable, and then you get the 1254 from VA, which is non-taxable. Your income is still $2,000, but you only got to tax the first half of it. Is it fair? It's better than nothing. But then you got to look at what is the amount of lifetime I have, because if you're 90, do you want a monthly check or do you want to pay all the money you put into it back? Choice is yours. So that's the difference between STP, DIC, entitlements of DIC, on active duty, 10 years after you're 100%, directly service connected. If you know anybody that's a POW, if you know anybody that's a POW, if they're 100% for 1 year prior to death, their widow gets it anyway. So far, I have not seen any POW that didn't die due to some service connected. Because if you're a POW and you file for disability, pretty much whatever you claim, they're going to approve it. Even if they don't have proof of it. Because they're going to assume it happened while you was in captivity. I've met every POW veteran I've met can approve of everything we put in for them. I mean, left knee hurt, shoulder hurt, renal error. I mean, whatever I say is wrong with them, they say, yep, it's being POW. So they get a real good benefit of doubt.
As they should.
As they should. As they should. Anybody got any questions?
that might be beneficial to them.
Any questions at all? I guess class was good.
Very good.
Hope it was beneficial. Yes, sir.
What happens if you have a service connected and you die? Your wife has been retired from civil service. Does this $1,254 a month affect her civil service retirement?
No, sir. And it's not taxable. So she don't have to go and tell the IRS, I'm making, $15,000 a year on the VA.
Okay.
Now, there has been a law change. There has been a law change in regards to property taxes. 2014 is pretty simple. 2015, they've changed it. So if you get awarded the DIC, service connected death due to combat, or if you're 100% permanent total as of now, just came into effective, then in order to get the property taxes, they look at your total property value times the total income that come in per year. If you're making more than $60,000 a year, they want to let you apply for Tennessee. What does that mean? You either get the law changed or you got to move out of state.
That's a long.
And they are trying to reverse that too.
They're trying to reverse it. I would say they had a choice of making that choice or stripping it all together.
Year before last, I got $1,069 back, I believe it was. This year I got 605.
It hurts. let them know, hey, how you feel about it. Personally, I know you bring in income into the state with the money you get, because nobody is investing and saving any of the money they get for the VA.
Right,
You're spending it fast, you can get it because you barely can survive on it. So
exactly,
they're earning money off of it, so
exactly,
why not give you some break?
That's right.
I don't know.
exactly,
I've been to other states and they have different rules.
right,
Example, Missouri, I think, or Connecticut.
Mhm.
The veteran service officer who works in that community, for that county, they look at how much money coming in for the county for the veterans. They adjust that veteran service officer pay based off what comes in for the county.
excellent. More
So-
you do, the more they give you.
And then they do another break to the veterans, and then they give them a pot of a percentage. So if you're bringing in, like this county here bringing in almost $6 million a year, so they'll give me a percentage to give out as donations. So if veteran comes in and say he need his light turn on, I got an actual checkbook, I can just write the check out.
Mm-hmm.
No question now, because they just give you that fund to take care of veterans. Because the community is already bringing that money in. We can't do it in Tennessee because we're not authorized.
Well, they keeping all that money and taking more from us,
Yeah.
dropping our benefits
Yes,
left
sir.
and right.
One thing that was offered to me as a retiree was Veterans Group Life Insurance that was conversion from Servicemen's Group Life Insurance. It's a 5-year term of insurance, it's renewable at a certain percentage. And then once you were service connected, there's that service disabled veterans insurance as well. Within 1 year, you have to apply and you can get up to $10,000. That will pay for a burial.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Adding on to that, that's up to age 70, and they dropped it like a hot potato.
70, that's it? I didn't know
Thought it was
that.
72.
Cause I got a letter from them, I got another term, and I got a letter last year that next year, $600 a year payment was up to $1,700.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well,
That's
That's for term insurance.
service disabled veterans insurance is supposed to be waived. The
I don't know.
premium.
Only if you're permanent total.
If you're permanent and total.
If you're not permanent total, depending on your age, like my age is $62 a month for 10,000.
That ain't too shabby though.
That ain't good.
$62 a month for 10,000.
That's high insurance right there.
$62 a month for $10,000.
Insurance.
I can save that money
That's right.
in 10 years. I'll save 10 grand in 10 years if I save $62 a month. I don't need them to do it. I think BGLI is too high too, but that's just my.
And the different post organizations, we've got, for the Legion, we've got, accidental death and dismemberment insurance too, so.
If you notice the cake, and y'all please have some, take some home, whatever, it does say, thank you to our veterans, family members, because I appreciate what y'all have to put up with. When the veterans have to deploy or go to training or go to duty, you're stuck at home doing what you do. And I'm not saying stuck at home, but you decide to stay at home.
Yes, sir.
'Cause nobody's stuck at home, you decide
I'm
to stay.
good.
Well, since it's March and we had none of the volunteers, I don't think had birthdays, we do have a couple of birthdays. Jesse Osborne out here.
Okay, that'll be perfect.
First, so happy birthday, Jesse.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
And if
Thanks, Rick.
somebody else says it's this month, raise your hand. If it's this month.
All right, I'll make one announcement. On the third Saturday in April, which is the 15th of April, the Purple Heart will be having a cookout up here. Everybody's invited. Anybody wants to come, we'll have hamburgers and hot dogs and cokes and tater chips. And that's about it, but we'll have something up here. So if anybody wants to come, feel free. Any veteran or anybody you know wants to come, bring them on, come on up and visit with us.
Okay, I got an announcement. Pancake breakfast. This Saturday at Restoration Church. Everybody know where that is? Okay, it's next to the old Munford Clinic.
Yep.
Okay.
Purple Heart.
Come on, it's from 8 to 10? 7 to 10? Y'all please come out and support the Tiffany County Veterans Council. $6
$6 for buy tickets at the door.
Here.
It's not only pancakes, but it's sausage and bacon,
That's the next
you
one.
know, and pancakes, so come out and support the veterans of Tiffany County. Okay, any more announcements?
Last one announcement I have, Mr. Leslie got the opportunity to go to the Veterans Home in Humboldt last month. And we had a great discussion about it, and I guess I just forgot how good it was, 'cause I used to go there for years. What we suggested was present that to the group, volunteers and those who are here, about taking a trip up there one day during the summer. And I'll take a day, and if I have to get a van, I can get a van from my church and a couple other drivers, that way we don't have 20 cars. And we go down there, and I can get it set up to where we actually get a tour of the Veterans Home in Humboldt. I think all of you need to see that, if you have not been there. Mr. Leslie can brag about it, I'll do it because I love them. It's unlike any other facility that provides assistance for elderly care and or disabled people, because everybody there ain't 100. There's a lot of women there, a lot of women, and I don't know if you've hanged out with women that have kind of adjusted their mindset with Alzheimer's dementia. They kind of flip to the pre-teen age. So if your husband goes there by himself, you might want to go check him all the time. All right? They have a different type of philosophy about how they feel about their bodies now. They don't feel like they're 80 anymore. They feel like they're 16. And they stay in the barbershop, the saloon, get their hair and nails done. And as soon as they see that man check in, because they watch the front door every day, and they see a man check in, they just roll their car out and say, hey, they got 3 of them check in, and they just scramble like little kids. It is hilarious. But it's just the fact that they get a chance to enjoy their life. And it's not the end of life. They just in a different transitional stage in their life. And they don't have the children that are not available to care for them because they have jobs and society and life. So they got a place to stay and it's safe.
Just Alzheimer's?
I would not go in there when we went up. I stayed out in the truck. Jesse sat out there and Jeff went in, and I sat out in the truck with Jeff's twins because I didn't want to go in no nursing home. I done smelled enough of it. 30 minutes later, Jeff come out and said, Leslie, you gotta come in and see this. You're not gonna believe it. So we took the 2 girls and went in there. Didn't smell like a nursing home, didn't look like a nursing home. It's been there 20-something years. It looks brand new inside. People were having fun there, and I got to talk with this lady who's about my age. She was from Memphis, said I put my 98-year-old World War II veteran daddy in here about 6 months ago. Said I come up here to see him and he wasn't here. I said, what do you mean? She said, they take them places and do so much stuff with them. So now before I come, I have to call and ask him, are you gonna be there tomorrow, daddy, so I can come see you? They don't just let them sit in there and do nothing. They have plenty of activities, people busy.
I think this also will be a great opportunity to see what we're gonna be getting in Arlington. All these kinds of building it next year. Okay.
It gives the kids an idea. I just, want to present it, and y'all think that's good. I say during the summer, June, when the kids are, out of
Takes an
school.
hour and 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah, it does. It's gonna take a while. We need to leave in the morning.
We can,
I'm gonna eat lunch there. We need lunch. If we decide to do it, we need to leave here by 9, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
I'm on that.
Get there, tour, eat lunch, then come back.
I do have we had a gentleman just walk in about an hour and a half ago. That's I don't know what organization he's with, but he was announcing a fundraiser down at the VA to help homeless veterans on the 31st of this month. So if you're
Actually, it's not, it's spring fling.
spring fling.
It's just it's a fundraiser for volunteer services for like a lot of, we do, I take the cookies when I go down there to volunteer, but some of the organizations don't, and so they have cookies. They buy the coffee, they buy the lemonade, then they have the personal care items for veterans who's checking to the hospital because they don't have
Right.
that with them. They don't have toothbrush and toothpaste and toiletries, and so that's what this is a fundraiser for. And they've got a book sale, a bake sale, a country market, and an auctionless auction. And I have tickets for the auctionless
Well, I'm
auction.
glad you were here then, because that's not he did not explain it anywhere near that good.
That's what it is. This is the 3rd annual one, I think it is.
And when is it?
At the VA at the theater,
When?
31st,
31st?
Thursday from 8 to 3, I think it is.
Okay.
Just to get the date right.
Any spouses have any questions about
And
these
I
benefits?
know we have lots of books, because I sorted the books.
Any spouses got any questions? Any spouses? Now this was nothing against the veterans, but I wanted to make sure I'm covering them because the veterans, you're here to take care of. My goal is to make sure they ain't in vain. I wanna make sure I have a way of taking care of them with the least resistance from the VA as possible. Cause you don't need to wait a year, 2 years, fight with the VA to get the benefits that are due to you.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
something.
I'm looking for a big
If,
bang.
if we need to contact you, we got one sent to do. Are you here all the time?
I'm here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay, what happens if it ain't?
When you call here, they'll send you to Brown. And I work in Brownsville Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
Just that.
Okay.
You'll take one of his business cards off the desk. You'll have the phone numbers for both
Is
places.
there a benefit for the spouse, someone that's served, like in the police, served on a war?
If the veteran is deceased and you're drawing this benefit,
But they don't have, no, I'm not going.
you're not drawing anything, and the
He
veteran
just
served
served in
during
the
the Korean War,
in the Korean.
there's a program called Widow's Pension at the aid and attendance rate. Widow's Pension at the aid and attendance rate. It doesn't pay as much as that, about $1,100 a month. Because you have to go into the facility. But if you go into a nursing home and Medicare picks up the bill, the VA will give you $90.
I'm not talking about whatever.
But if you're talking about assisted living home, they'll give you $1,100
For the widow.
for the widow. As long as you don't have more than $80,000 saved up, not including the house,
So there's stipulations on it, not including that.
not including the house. You have the house don't get hurt. But you can't sell the house, put the money in the bank, and now you have too much.
80,000.
Even from the functioning, he's.
Anybody else got any questions? So thank y'all so much, and I love you. Hang in there, have a good week. Hope you enjoyed the meal.
Sounds good to me. Anybody come in late, didn't get any groceries, there's still groceries out.